Afghanistan, as a sovereign state, reserves its legitimate right to seek assistance and aid of political, moral, and humanitarian of any country, near or far, in conformity with the Article 51 of the UN Charter, and based upon the internationally recognized principles. We assure the Council that despite the unbearable hardships emanating from the foreign interferences, conspiracies, and diverse conclusions, Afghanistan has not entered into any commitment of regional character or beyond to pose a threat to the national security of the countries in the region, or to jeopardize in any way the non-aligned status of Afghanistan. And we continue to remain committed to this policy. We further are of the conviction that an end to these blatant interventions would pave the ground and which peaceful endeavors of the United Special Mission will bring about a far-reaching and just solution to the destructive conflict in Afghanistan. We believe that it is the high time for both the Afghan and Pakistani governments to immediately start serious dialogue and negotiation for the restoration of the mutual trust and cooperative relationship that would definitely contribute in the creation of a sound atmosphere conducive to the restoration of peace in Afghanistan. Well-known philosopher and poet of the subcontinent, Allama Iqbal, said, "The essence of Asia is a moving mixture. Of that blend, the Afghan nation is the core. Its tranquility is Asia's peace, and its turmoil is Asia's turbulence." Afghanistan, due to the above interferences, is in turmoil. Peace and stability of the region, as recognized by the Security Council and its statement and the press, to the press, dated December 13, 1995, is in jeopardy. The Security Council, on the basis of the mandate the Charter has placed upon it, as well as the expectation of the suffering nation of Afghanistan, would focus on attention and take an appropriate decision to remedy the situation. At this stage, I wish to present 3 specific suggestions for the consideration of the Council. 1. Establishment of a United Nations monitoring post along the southern borders point of Spin Boldak between Afghanistan and Pakistan. The monitoring post, Mr. President, would ensure halting of flow of illicit arms and ammunition inside Afghanistan to the hands of the Taliban mercenaries. This would undoubtedly contribute in the objective of General Assembly resolution of December 19, 1995, and in this particular case, perform a deterring role on minimization of the tension and diminution of the scope of the armed conflict. Perhaps the already existing military personnel of the Office of Secretary General for Afghanistan, OSGA, could be promptly assigned to do the job. Their presence is imperatively needed in the south of the country. 2. Assignment by the United Nations of a fact-finding mission to the Taliban-occupied provinces in Afghanistan in order to A. Observe the magnitude of the Pakistani military intervention in the internal affairs of Afghanistan. B. Investigate cultivation, processing, and illicit trafficking of narcotics in the Taliban-occupied areas. As far as the Taliban and drug trafficking, Mr. President, Afghanistan has prepared a detailed and elaborated report covering cultivation, process, and trafficking of narcotics, especially in south and southwestern provinces of Afghanistan, as an alarming new phenomenon to be submitted to the United Nations drug control authorities for appropriate action. C. Verify the wide range reports of human rights atrocities and violations, especially of women in the Taliban-occupied areas. D. Study and evaluate the situations and circumstances in the Taliban-controlled areas as far as possible institutionalized criminal and terrorist activities are concerned. 3. As I have informed in my letter dated September 14, 1995, to the Secretary General, document S/1995/795, following the events of September 6, 1995, Pakistani military transport planes and transport vehicles have begun the systematic transfer of heavy and light weaponry belonging to the Afghan Ministry of Defense from Herat towards Quetta, Pakistan. Some of these weapons have been since handed to the Taliban mercenaries. The major part of these arms plundered by the Pakistani army are still in Quetta. The Security Council should adopt appropriate recommendations for the early return of these arms belonging to Afghanistan. I should like to mention that in the above letter, the Islamic State of Afghanistan reserved its right to take at due time appropriate legal action on international level against Pakistan in order to secure the return of the said armament. Mr. President, distinguished members of the Council, I would conclude by saying the difference between a saint and a sinner is that the saint has the past and the sinner the future. Pakistani authorities, as far as their attitude with the Afghan nation is concerned, should try to use the future and restoring the trust and confidence of the Afghan people. And I thank you, Mr. President.
Doy las gracias al viceministro de Relaciones Exteriores del Afganistán por su declaración y las amables palabras que me ha dirigido. El siguiente orador inscrito en mi lista es el representante de China, a quien le doy la palabra. Doy las gracias al representante de la India por su declaración y las palabras dirigidas a la presidencia. Le invito a volver a ocupar el asiento que se le ha reservado a un lado del salón del Consejo. Muchas gracias. Con esta intervención se ha finalizado la lista original de oradores. Sin embargo, el distinguido viceministro de Relaciones Exteriores del Afganistán ha pedido la palabra para una breve intervención. Le concedo la palabra.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, in my opening remark this morning, expressing congratulations to you, Mr. President, as the current President of the Security Council, I inadvertently referred to Her Excellency Ambassador Madeleine Albright as your predecessor. I would like to correct and ask the distinguished representative of Botswana to express our appreciation to His Excellency Ambassador Legwila, the Ambassador of Botswana to the United Nations, for the best manner in which he presided over the Security Council last month. However, it should not be construed as we are withdrawing our appreciation and thanks to His Excellency Ambassador of the United States. Mr. President, with this brief concluding statement, I'd like to begin by expressing on behalf of